We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
This next question makes my brain hurt. I'm going to be honest with you.
I have a solution for him, though.
Okay, because I read this like 3 times and went, nope, I have no idea what this guy's talking about. So, Ryan. Okay, here we go. Ryan says we convinced him that no one else will care as much about his theater as he will, so he's actually saving him. So that is actually saving him time and money, as he's decided to just focus on his primary row and forget about the second row that will hardly ever get used. With the second row gone, figuratively, not literally, I believe. He can now have a small, literally. He can now have a small desktop music setup at the back of his theater, which he will find useful. What he wants is to be able to play any of his theater sources from his desktop audio setup. So this is, from what I'm understanding here, a second set of main speakers back there.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
He would also like to be able to have one source playing with the projector while he uses a different source at his desktop. Finally, he'd like to be able to use his subwoofers along with the desktop setup. Okay. Will the Denon AVR X30 6300H allow a setup like this? How would that work? Would he use the pre-outs as well as the internal amps? Could he use Zone 2? The thing that threw me here is the subwoofer part, right?
Right.
You could use Zone 2 for some of this.
Kinda.
You could use a... Well, yeah, why not?
Well,
why couldn't you use Zone 2?
because the thing he wanted to be able to do was use any source that's plugged into the AV receiver.
Well, that's what you'd have to make sure that you have it plugged in the right way. So
Well, you have to have it plugged in and set to PCM audio, because the X6300 won't take, say, a Dolby True HD 7.1 signal and down mix it to 2-channel to play out a Zone 2. It won't do that. Now, if you send it 7-channel PCM, it'll down mix that to 2 channels and play it out a Zone 2.
Right.
But yeah, it makes it more complicated. I mean, if you're getting an X6300, I'm assuming you want to do Atmos. That means you got to send a bit stream. That means that source isn't going to work out of Zone 2.
Right. So.
And if you used the pre-outs and the internal amps, you can, but then there would be no way to ever hear your desktop setup without also hearing your theater, because
You got to have them both on at the same time.
they're both on at the same time.
Yeah.
And you couldn't have 2 different sources. So that's
So what's the solution to this mind-numbing problem here?
A Yamaha.
Okay.
Getting a Yamaha, and you'd have to get a flagship, because I'm assuming he's getting the 6300 so he can do 11 speakers, and only Yamaha's flagships do that. So you're looking at a RXA 3050 or RXA 3060. It's actually less expensive than the 6300, so that's okay. But the secret here with Yamaha is their MusicCast system. All right. Now, you might be looking at the 6300 and going, well, they have whole house audio in the form of Hios, but Hios doesn't let you play any multi-channel sources, stereo only, when you're dealing with Hios. So the magic of MusicCast from Yamaha is they can take any HDMI source. It can be Dolby True HD, it can be Dolby Atmos, it can be DTS HD Master Audio, DTS-X. They will decode it, down sample it to, or down mix it to 2 channels and play it through the MusicCast wireless connection. That'll actually work. So the reason to go with the Yamaha here is because it can do what you want to do. That's I mean,
But
that's
you
the
have
key.
to buy
You can
their
do what you wanna
speakers,
do.
right? To do that with.
Well, you don't have to, because you could get a MusicCast amplifier, right? So or you can get a MusicCast preamplifier, which is just, it's a wireless thing that connects to the MusicCast system that then gives you stereo left, right, and a dedicated subwoofer output. So the thing of using the subwoofers that are already part of his theater, that's not really going to work. And it would, I mean, this is one of his other questions, but it would sound weird anyway. Sitting at the very back of your room, you've already tuned the subwoofers to sound correct at your primary row of seats. It's going to sound a bit weird anyway, and it's not really going to work. Neither of these is going to really let you do that. But with the MusicCast system, you can make this dual setup where you can listen to anything that's plugged into that AV receiver, and you can listen to 2 things at once. You can be listening to one thing in the main theater and a second source through the MusicCast system that's still plugged into that.
So you'll have to buy the receiver, and you have to buy something else.
That's
either
right. That's right.
uh,
And
a preamp or
the
something.
Yamahas have 9 amps built in, not 11, so you will need a separate 2-channel amplifier
Right.
just for the main theater to do all 11 speakers, but it can do what you want to do, so that's key.
So yes, what would be? We already talked about that, right? So
Yeah,
blah,
for the
blah, blah.
subwoofer, yeah. So
Yeah.
honestly, I'm saying for the desktop setup at the back, have your own separate, smaller subwoofer. And since the MusicCast system, you can get one that's they call it their MusicCast preamp. So it gives you stereo left-right output and a dedicated subwoofer output.
So he's playing on the Ascend Acoustic CMT 340 SE speakers up front, behind an acoustically transparent screen. All three would be vertical. So is the CMT 340 SE center identical to those main speakers? Well, if you're going to do 3 up front and they're all going to be vertical, why don't you just buy 3 of the ones that you want? Can't you buy that?
Well, because
not
on
buy
their
3?
website, as he says,
Oh, the mains are only sold in pairs, so you need to buy 4 of them. Oh, you gotta call them, dude. They will totally
call
sell
them.
you 3.
that's right.
There's like no speaker manufacturer on the planet that will not sell you 3 speakers.
Well, that's not entirely true. There are some that are, the cheaper ones that just don't do it.
Right.
They don't sell them individually.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna say they're buying them from Amazon, but this is Ascend. I mean,
That's
there's a dude who makes these, like literally.
Oh, yeah.
So, or a bunch of dudes, maybe some ladies as well. So I don't. Yeah, call them.
Yes, call them on the phone. They will absolutely sell you 3 identical vertical
That's right.
CMT 340 speakers. To answer the question directly, the center is different. It has a different crossover in it.
Yeah.
It is a different crossover in it to account for it being horizontal instead of vertical. So you don't want to just order it direct from, but just call them. Just call them. They will absolutely send you 3 identical ones.
Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.